Get your hands off that bag! Where did you steal it from? Victoria Ashford's voice sliced through the first-class cabin. Her fingers yanked at an 8-year-old's backpack. Diamond rings flashed under the overhead lights. "Ma'am, please. That's my daughter's. Her grandmother gave it to her." The black woman's voice stayed soft, calm. She didn't stand up yet. Victoria laughed, sharp and cold. "Your daughter? In first class? Let me guess. Welfare paid for these seats, or some charity handout?" She sprayed perfume toward the children. 3 quick bursts. The twins shrank into their seats. "Someone called security. These people clearly don't belong here. My husband is on the airline's advisory board. I know what standards look like." Other passengers turned to stare. The cabin went silent except for the engine's hum. What happened next didn't just ground one racist woman. It grounded an entire plane. 2 hours earlier, dawn light filled a hotel suite in downtown Atlanta. Simone Taylor zipped up her daughter's pink suitcase. The fabric made a smooth, grinding sound. Her son sprawled on the carpet, trying to fit one more toy car into his backpack. "Elijah, baby, you already have 6 cars in there." "But Grandma needs to see the red one. It's her favorite." Simone smiled and tucked the car into a side pocket. These were her babies. 8 years old. Spring break trip to see their grandmother in Los Angeles. Amara bounced on the bed. Her braids clicked with colorful beads. "Mom, will we get snacks on the plane?" "Yes, sweetie. Warm cookies. Maybe juice." Simone's phone buzzed. Her assistant. The text read, "FAA Regional Safety Summit agenda attached. Meeting at 2 p.m. tomorrow." She silenced it. Today wasn't about work. Today was about being a mom. At the airport, the check-in counter gleamed under fluorescent lights. The agent recognized her immediately. "Dr. Taylor, good morning. I've upgraded your family to first class. Corporate account." Simone hesitated. "That's kind, but the twins have never experienced it. I want them to stay grounded." "Ma'am, it's a long flight. You deserve the comfort. So do they." She nodded. "Okay. Thank you, Jonathan." Other airline staff greeted her as they walked. A supervisor waved. A pilot nodded respectfully. The twins didn't notice. They were too busy staring at the departure board. Simone kept her FAA identification tucked deep in her bag. She wore simple jeans, a cream sweater, and comfortable flats. Her watch was expensive but understated. Most people wouldn't look twice. That's how she preferred it. At the gate, Elijah pressed his face against the window. "Mom, that plane is huge." "That's ours, baby." Boarding started. The first-class cabin smelled like leather and fresh coffee. Soft classical music played through hidden speakers. The seats were wide, cream-colored thrones. Amara gasped. "Mom, is this really ours?" "Yes, sweetie. Sit down gently. Be respectful." The twins settled into 2A and 2B. Simone took 2C across the aisle. The flight attendant, Jessica, brought warm towels. "Welcome aboard. Can I get you anything?" "We're fine, thank you." Simone pulled out her tablet. An email appeared. "Emergency flight grounding protocols. Review required." She scanned it quickly. Technical language about her authority as FAA Regional Director to halt aircraft operations. She closed it. Not today. Other passengers filed in. A businessman, an elderly couple. Then came a woman in a white designer blazer. Her heels clicked loudly. Louis Vuitton luggage, diamonds on every finger. Victoria Ashford. She talked into her phone like she wanted everyone to hear. "Bradford, I'm boarding now. Yes, first class, obviously. Tell Richard thank you for the advisory board appointment. My husband just bought into the airline's board, you know." She stopped near row 3, directly behind the twins. Her eyes landed on Amara and Elijah. Her expression shifted. like she'd discovered a stain on expensive fabric. Victoria leaned toward her companion, a thin woman with pearl earrings. I thought this cabin was supposed to be exclusive. The other woman, Margaret, glanced at the twins and nodded. I'll say something if they cause any disturbance. Simone heard every word, her jaw tightened. But she'd heard worse, in boardrooms, in congressional hearings, in Air Force briefings where she was the only black woman in the room. She leaned toward her children and whispered, Use your inside voices. Be respectful. Enjoy the flight. Elijah smiled at her. Amara reached for her hand across the aisle, her small fingers squeezed tight. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, the FAA has cleared us for departure. Should be a smooth flight to Los Angeles. The engines hummed. The cabin lights dimmed slightly. Victoria settled into seat 3D, right behind the twins. She pulled out her phone and typed something. Her red nails clicked against the screen. Margaret whispered something. Victoria nodded and smiled. Not a kind smile. A knowing one. Simone felt it. That familiar weight. The pressure of being watched, judged, measured by skin color before character. She took a slow breath and squeezed Amara's hand back. The plane began to taxi toward the runway. 15 minutes into the flight, the seatbelt sign blinked off with a soft chime. Amara pulled out her coloring book. The pages crinkled as she flipped to a picture of butterflies. Elijah opened his box of colored pencils. 12 colors lined up neatly in their slots. He picked the blue one, started coloring a butterfly's wing with careful strokes. Then it slipped. The pencil rolled off his tray table, hit the armrest, bounced to the floor. It rolled backward under Victoria's seat with a soft tap. Elijah unbuckled and leaned over. Excuse me, ma'am? My pencil rolled under your seat. Victoria looked down at him. Her eyes narrowed. She didn't move. I'm not your servant. Control your children. Her voice was ice, sharp enough to cut. Elijah's face fell. He looked back at his mother. Simone stood immediately. She moved into the aisle and knelt down, her knees pressed against the rough carpet. She reached under Victoria's seat and retrieved the pencil. I apologize for the disturbance. She handed it to Elijah. He whispered thank you. His voice was so small. Simone returned to her seat. She leaned close to the twins. Some people are having a bad day. Just ignore it, okay? Amara nodded, but her hands shook slightly as she picked up her crayon. 20 minutes later, Jessica came through with the snack cart. The smell of warm chocolate chip cookies filled the cabin. She placed 2 cookies on napkins and handed them to the twins. Here you go, sweethearts. Thank you, they said together, perfectly polite. Jessica smiled and moved to the next row. Victoria's hand shot up. Her fingers snapped twice. The sound was sharp and demanding. Jessica, I need to speak with the purser, now. Jessica turned back. Her smile faltered. Ma'am? Is something wrong with your service? There's been a seating error. These children don't belong in this cabin. Her finger pointed at Amara and Elijah like she was identifying criminals. Jessica's face flushed. Other passengers were watching now. The businessman in the gray suit looked up from his laptop. The elderly couple stopped talking. Ma'am, let me check their tickets. Jessica pulled out her tablet. Her fingers moved quickly across the screen. She scanned the seat assignments. Everything was correct. Premium first class, paid in full. Their tickets are valid, ma'am. They're seated correctly. Victoria's face turned red. She stood up. Her designer blazer wrinkled as she leaned into the aisle. I don't care what your screen says. Look at them. Do they look like they belong in first class? The cabin went silent. Even the engine noise seemed to fade. Everyone was staring now. Amara started crying. Quiet tears rolled down her cheeks. Elijah put his arm around her and pulled her close. Simone's jaw locked, but her voice stayed controlled, steady. Ma'am, those are my children. They have every right to be here. Victoria whipped around. Her eyes blazed. Your children? And how exactly did you afford first-class tickets? Let me guess. Welfare? Some affirmative action program? Or maybe someone's charity case? Simone stood. She stepped into the aisle. Her body was calm, but her hands were tight fists at her sides. We purchased our tickets like everyone else. Sure you did. Victoria turned to address the entire cabin. Her voice rose like she was giving a speech. Does anyone else feel uncomfortable with this situation? Our tickets cost $3,000 each. We deserve a certain atmosphere, a certain standard. Silence. A few passengers looked away. One man near the window nodded slightly. Most just stared at their phones or their magazines. Mr. Carter, an Asian businessman in seat 5A, frowned, but he said nothing. Not yet. Victoria noticed Amara's backpack, small, designer, with the Gucci logo clearly visible. Her eyes went wide with false shock. That's a $1,200 bag. Where did you steal that from? She reached over the seat. Her fingers grabbed for the backpack strap. Amara clutched it to her chest. It's mine! Grandma gave it to me! Elijah yelled. Stop! Leave her alone! Simone moved fast. She stepped between Victoria and her children. Do not touch my children. I'm asking you one time. Victoria smirked. Her lips curled into something cruel. Or what? You'll sue me with your imaginary money? Please. Mr. Carter finally spoke. His voice was firm. Ma'am, you need to calm down. This is completely inappropriate. Victoria spun toward him, her face twisted with rage. Stay out of this. I'm protecting everyone's safety and property here. A woman in seat 4A stood up. Ms. Rodriguez. She was a teacher from San Antonio. Her voice was loud and clear. Those children haven't done anything wrong. You're the only problem I see. Victoria pulled out her phone. She tapped the screen and put it on speaker. The ringtone echoed through the cabin. A man's voice answered. Victoria? Bradford, these people are out of control on the flight. I need you to call Richard at airline headquarters. Remind him how much we donate. Remind him about your advisory board position. Bradford Ashford's voice was smooth, confident, used to getting what it wanted. Which flight, honey? 8:47 to LA. There are people in first class who clearly don't belong. The staff won't do anything. I'll call Richard right now. He owes me after that board appointment. Victoria ended the call. She looked around the cabin with a victorious smile. My husband is on the airline's Platinum Advisory Board. This will be handled. I suggest you start packing your things. Jessica's face was pale. She pressed the call button for the purser. The soft chime sounded twice. A man in his 50s appeared. His uniform was crisp. His name tag read Robert. He'd been flying for 30 years. He'd seen everything. What seems to be the issue? Victoria launched into her story. She spoke fast. Her hands waved dramatically. These people are disrupting the entire cabin. The children are out of control. The mother is threatening me. I want them removed immediately. Do you know who my husband is? Robert listened. His face stayed neutral, professional. When she finished, he turned to Simone. Ma'am, is there anything you'd like to add? Simone's voice was quiet, tired. My children dropped a pencil. We've been sitting quietly. We haven't caused any problems. Robert nodded. He looked at Jessica. She nodded confirmation. He turned back to Victoria. Ma'am, I need you to return to your seat. The family has done nothing wrong. If you continue this disruption, I'll have to notify the captain. Victoria's mouth dropped open. Her face turned purple. I paid for exclusivity. I paid for a certain standard. I'm not sitting behind them. She stepped fully into the aisle, blocked the service cart. Other passengers were getting angry now. A woman trying to get to the bathroom couldn't pass. Ma'am, you're blocking the aisle. I don't care. I'm not moving until they're moved to the economy where they belong. Robert pulled out his radio. He spoke quietly, but everyone heard. Captain, we have a passenger disturbance in first class, requesting your guidance. The captain's voice came back through the speaker. Copy. Continue protocol. I'll make an announcement. Seconds later, the intercom crackled to life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Hayes. We have a passenger disturbance in the forward cabin. Please remain seated while our crew addresses the situation. Thank you for your patience. The entire plane knew now. Economy passengers were craning their necks, trying to see what was happening. Victoria stood her ground, her arms crossed, her face set in stubborn rage. Simone looked at her crying daughter, at her son's frightened eyes. She made a decision. We'll move seats. I don't want my children traumatized any further. Robert shook his head. His voice was firm. Dr. Taylor, you don't have to move anywhere. You've done absolutely nothing wrong. Victoria caught the name. Her eyebrows shot up. She laughed, mean and mocking. Doctor? Yeah, right. Doctor of what? Basket weaving? Some affirmative action doctorate? Simone's hands clenched, but she said nothing. Victoria pulled out her phone again. She aimed it at the twins, started recording video. I'm documenting this for my lawyer. Evidence of how this airline allows their standards to plummet. Let just anyone into first class. She moved closer. The phone was inches from Amara's tear-stained face. Look at this. This is what $3,000 gets you now. Children who don't even know how to behave. Multiple passengers started yelling. Put that phone away! You can't film children without permission. Someone stop her! But Victoria kept filming. She panned to Elijah, to Simone, to their tickets on the seat. Everyone will see this. Everyone will know what this airline has become. The cabin was chaos now, voices overlapping, anger rising like heat. And Victoria Ashford stood in the center of it all, smiling. Captain Hayes's voice filled the cabin again, firm this time. No politeness left. This is your captain. We are experiencing a serious disturbance. All passengers must remain seated. Crew, proceed with safety protocols. Victoria lowered her phone, but she didn't sit down. She stood in the aisle like she owned it. Robert's radio crackled. He listened, then nodded. Ma'am, final warning. Return to your seat, or we will divert this aircraft. Victoria laughed, high and sharp. You're going to divert a plane because of me? Do you have any idea what that will cost the airline? My husband will have your job. She turned back to Simone. Her voice dripped with poison. This is your fault, you and your children. You brought this on yourselves. Mr. Carter stood up from his seat. His voice cut through the noise. Lady, sit down. You're the only problem here. Victoria whipped toward him. Her eyes blazed. Oh, of course you'd take their side. You people always stick together. Gasps rippled through the cabin. Mr. Carter's face went hard. Excuse me? You heard me. Ms. Rodriguez stood up too. Her hands were shaking with anger. I've been watching this whole time. Those children have been perfect. You're the one acting like a child. A racist child. Victoria's face twisted. How dare you call me racist? I have black friends. I donate to charity. I'm just protecting standards, something you people wouldn't understand. More passengers stood. The energy in the cabin shifted. It wasn't just Simone anymore. It was everyone against Victoria. But she didn't care. She was too far gone now, too deep in her rage. Margaret, Victoria's friend, tried to pull her arm. Victoria, maybe we should just sit. No, I'm not backing down. These people need to learn their place. Simone tried one more time. Her voice was barely a whisper. Ma'am, please. My children are scared. Just let us be. Victoria's eyes locked on her. cold and cruel. Scared. They should be scared. Coming into places they don't belong, pretending to be something they're not. She stepped closer to Simone, too close, invading her space. What are you really? Some secretary? Nurse? Let me guess. You cleaned houses and saved up for years for these tickets, and now you think you're special. Simone stood perfectly still. Every muscle in her body was tight, but her voice stayed level. I asked you nicely. Multiple times. Step back. Or what? Victoria shoved Simone's shoulder. Hard. Simone stumbled back, caught herself on the armrest. Her knuckles went white, gripping the leather. The cabin exploded. She assaulted her! Did everyone see that? Someone record this! Robert grabbed his radio. Captain, we have physical assault. Request immediate return to Atlanta. Roger that. Diverting now. The plane banked left. The turn was sharp enough that people grabbed their armrests. Overhead bins rattled. The captain's voice came back on. Ladies and gentlemen, we are returning to Atlanta due to a serious onboard security incident. Please remain calm. We will land in approximately 25 minutes. Groans filled the cabin. From first class and economy, 80 people. All their plans were disrupted. But Victoria wasn't done. She looked at Amara, still crying, still clutching her backpack. And Victoria smiled. She picked up her glass of red wine from her seat. Full. She'd barely touched it. She held it up, let it catch the light. You know what? I think your daughter needs to cool off. Simone's eyes went wide. Don't you? Victoria poured. The wine cascaded over Amara's head in a dark red stream. It soaked her hair, ran down her face, stained her white shirt. The smell of alcohol filled the air. Amara screamed, a child's wail of shock and pain and humiliation. The cabin went silent, absolute, horrified, silent. Then chaos. Elijah lunged at Victoria. His small fists swung. He was 8 years old, trying to protect his sister. You're mean. You're a mean lady. Victoria grabbed his arm. Her fingers dug into his skin. She twisted it hard. Elijah cried out. You little thug! Did everyone see that? He attacked me! She shoved him back into his seat, hard enough that his head hit the headrest. Red marks appeared on his arm where her fingers had been. Angry welts are already forming. Simone moved. Fast. She pulled Elijah away from Victoria and wrapped both arms around her children. Wine dripped from Amara's hair onto the floor. The little girl was sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe, hiccuping, shaking. Simone's hands trembled as she tried to wipe wine from her daughter's face with a napkin. But there was too much. It was everywhere. Her voice came out low. Dangerous. Each word is carefully controlled. You just assaulted my 8-year-old daughter in front of 80 witnesses on a federal aircraft. Victoria flipped her hair back. Casual, like nothing had happened. She'll be fine. I'm sure she's used to it being worse where you people come from. Passengers were on their feet now. Phones out, recording everything, voices shouting over each other. Call the police! She poured wine on a child! That's assault. Someone help that little girl. Jessica rushed over with ice wrapped in cloth. Her hands were shaking. She knelt beside Amara. Sweetie, let me help. It's okay. You're okay. But Amara couldn't stop crying. The wine stung her eyes. It was in her nose, her mouth. She was 8 years old and a stranger had poured alcohol on her. Margaret stood frozen in her seat. Her face was pale. She looked at Victoria like she was seeing her for the first time. Victoria, what have you done? Shut up, Margaret. They deserved it. Victoria pulled out her phone again, called her husband, put it on the speaker deliberately. She wanted everyone to hear. Bradford, these people have attacked me. I need you to call our lawyer, right now, and call Richard. I want this woman's name. I'm going to sue her into oblivion. I'm going to take everything she has. Bradford's voice came through, confident, entitled. Already on it. I'm calling Richard now. Nobody messes with my wife. That family's life is over. Victoria looked at Simone. Her smile was pure cruelty. You have no idea who you're dealing with. My husband owns half of Atlanta. Your little flight is over. But so is your pathetic life. We will destroy you. She turned to the cabin, playing to an audience. I'm pressing charges against this woman and her delinquent children. Assault, threatening behavior, theft of the bag. I'll make sure those children end up in foster care where someone can teach them their place. Robert was on his radio. His voice was clipped, professional. But his face showed his disgust. Ground security, we need police to meet the aircraft. Child assault confirmed. Multiple witnesses. Aggressor refusing to comply. The plane started descending. The pressure changed. Ears popped. Simone wrapped Amara in her jacket. The wine-soaked shirt stuck to the little girl's skin. She smelled like alcohol, like a bar. She was 8 years old. Simone tried to clean Elijah's arm. The red marks were turning purple, bruises forming in the shape of adult fingers. Her daughter was sobbing. Her son was shaking. And Victoria Ashford was still standing in the aisle, still smiling. Simone looked up, met Victoria's eyes directly. Her voice was quiet, barely audible over the engine noise. But every word was steel. Ma'am, you are absolutely right about one thing. Victoria raised an eyebrow. What's that? You have no idea who you're dealing with. Victoria laughed, threw her head back. Oh, are you going to threaten me now? Go ahead. More evidence for my lawyer. Simone didn't respond. She pulled out her phone, started taking photographs. Victoria with a wine glass still in her hand. Amara's wine-soaked face and shirt, Elijah's bruised arm, Margaret's horrified expression. She photographed Victoria's luggage tag in the overhead bin, got her full name, her address. How dare you photograph me without permission? That's illegal! Simone's voice was ice. Same law that applied when you filmed my children without permission. Federal aircraft. Everything's legal evidence now. She took one more photo. Victoria's face, red with rage, twisted with hate. Then Simone sat down, pulled her children close, wrapped them in her arms. The plane descended through clouds. Atlanta appeared below. The runway stretched out like a gray ribbon. Victoria was still standing, still yelling, still demanding apologies, still threatening lawsuits. But something had shifted in the cabin. The other passengers weren't looking at Simone's family anymore. They were looking at Victoria. And their faces showed exactly what they thought of her. The wheels touched down with a screech of rubber on concrete. 25 minutes early, because of her. The plane stopped on the tarmac, not at the gate, isolated. Red and blue lights flashed outside the windows. The cabin door opened with a hydraulic hiss. 2 airport police officers climbed the stairs. Officer Williams, a black woman in her 30s. Officer Park, an Asian man in his 40s. Victoria rushed toward them. Her heels clicked. Officers, thank God. That woman and her children terrorized the first class. I want them arrested. Now. She shoved her phone at Officer Williams. Video evidence. The boy attacked me. I filmed everything. Officer Williams watched the video. Her face stayed neutral. Victoria kept talking. I'm the victim. She threatened me. Her children are violent. I want full charges. Assault, theft, everything. Officer Park pulled out a notebook. Ma'am, we need statements from everyone. Step back. Step back. I was attacked. Do you know who my husband is? Robert approached the officers quietly, showed them his tablet, the passenger manifest. Officer Williams' eyes widened. She looked at Simone. Her posture changed. Formal, respectful. Dr. Taylor? Dr. Simone Taylor? Simone nodded quietly. Yes, officer. Victoria's face twisted. What does it matter what fake degree she has? Officer Park's voice cut sharp. Ma'am, do you know who this woman is? Somebody with stolen tickets. Officer Williams turned to the entire cabin. Her voice rang out. Passengers, Dr. Simone Taylor is the Federal Aviation Administration's Regional Director for the Southeastern United States. Complete silence. She oversees airline safety, operations, and security for 6 states, including Georgia. Victoria's face was drained of color. Dr. Taylor is a former U.S. Air Force pilot, 15-year service, aerospace engineer from MIT. Last year, she received the Presidential Safety Award. Phones came out. Passengers Googled frantically. Mr. Carter gasped. She testified before Congress. Look. He held up his phone. Photos of Simone at congressional hearings, in an Air Force uniform by a fighter jet, shaking hands with the president. Ms. Rodriguez found more. Aviation Weekly. She's featured dozens of times. Margaret tried to leave. Officer Park blocked her. Nobody leaves until we finish. Captain Hayes emerged from the cockpit, 4 stripes on his shoulders. He walked to Simone and saluted. Sharp. Military. Dr. Taylor, I apologize profoundly. Had I known... You followed protocol, Captain. Thank you. Victoria's mouth opened. No sound came. Robert showed his tablet around. News articles, awards, White House ceremonies. Victoria finally spoke. Her voice was tiny. That's impossible. She can't be... Simone stood, still holding wine-soaked Amara. Elijah pressed to her side. She looked at Captain Hayes. Her voice changed, commanding. Captain, I need you to keep this aircraft on the ground. Yes, ma'am, we're all ready. Not just in Atlanta. I'm issuing a Level 3 safety hold, effective immediately. Gasps filled the cabin. Victoria choked. You can't... Simone's eyes locked on her. Ice cold. Under Title 49 U.S.C., Section 46504. When an assault occurs on a federal aircraft involving minors, the regional director has authority to ground that aircraft pending security review. Captain Hayes straightened. Understood. Duration? Until I interview every passenger, review all security footage, and personally determine this cabin is safe for children. She paused. All 80 passengers will deplane. New arrangements will be made. This aircraft doesn't move until I authorize it. The captain nodded, picked up the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, by order of the FAA Regional Director, this aircraft is officially grounded. You will deplane and be reaccommodated. This is not optional. The cabin exploded. What? My connecting flight. I have a meeting. My daughter's recital. But their anger turned toward Victoria. Mr. Carter stood. His voice shook with rage. She did this. That racist woman made us all miss connections. Ms. Rodriguez was crying. My daughter's dance recital. Because of her. An economy passenger shouted from behind the curtain. Job interview in 2 hours. Mother's surgery? Wedding rehearsal. Victoria backed against her seat, face white, hands trembling. I didn't mean. This isn't my fault. She's overreacting. Simone's voice cut through like a blade. You assaulted my 8-year-old daughter with wine. You grabbed my son hard enough to bruise him. You used racial slurs. You created an unsafe environment. On a federal aircraft. My jurisdiction. Victoria's voice cracked. My husband. The advisory board. Simone tilted her head slightly. I chair the committee that appointed him. Past tense. I'm recommending his immediate removal. Conflict of interest. Ethical failure. Passengers passed phones around. More articles. More photos. Simone in cockpits. At international conferences. Receiving awards. The evidence was everywhere. Victoria's legs gave out. She collapsed into her seat. Margaret whispered, "Victoria, what have you done?" Simone turned to Officer Williams. Her voice was quiet but absolute. "Ma'am, in 15 years with the FAA, I've grounded 47 aircraft. Mechanical failures, security threats, safety violations." She looked directly at Victoria. "This is my first time grounding a plane because of pure human cruelty." Victoria tried to speak. Simone held up one hand. "You didn't just attack my children. You attacked the idea that black families belong anywhere. You're going to learn that racism has a cost, and that cost is about to become very expensive." She turned to the officers. "She's all yours." To Captain Hayes, "I need all cabin security footage sent to my office within the hour." "Yes, ma'am. Already processing." Simone picked up Amara, took Elijah's hand, walked toward the aircraft door, past Victoria, didn't look back. Victoria collapsed forward, sobbing. Officer Williams pulled out handcuffs. The metal clicked as they opened. Officer Williams stepped behind Victoria. The handcuffs gleamed under cabin lights. "Victoria Ashford, you're under arrest for assault on a minor, child endangerment, and interfering with flight crew operations." Metal clicked around her wrists. Cold. Final. "You have the right to remain silent." Victoria screamed. "My lawyer will destroy you." Officer Park took Margaret's arm. "You're under arrest as an accessory and false testimony." "I just agreed with her." "That's a conspiracy, ma'am." Both women were escorted down mobile stairs. Passengers pressed against windows. Filming. Victoria stumbled in designer heels. Camera flashes from news crews on the tarmac. The footage would be everywhere in minutes. Bradford Ashford rushed to the security checkpoint. Expensive suit, red face. "I'm Bradford Ashford. My wife was arrested. This is outrageous." The security director showed him a tablet. Footage from the plane. Bradford watched his wife grab the backpack. Shove Simone. Shove. Pour wine on a child. Twist a boy's arm. His face went white. "Oh, God. Victoria, what did you do?" He tried approaching the holding area. Denied. He called the airline CEO. Voicemail. His phone rang. Business partners. Board members. "Bradford, is that your wife on the news?" He checked social media. Hands shaking. Victoria trending. #2 nationally. Hashtags everywhere. First-class racism. Victoria Ashford. Justice for the Taylor twins. Cell phone videos are already viral. 15 million views. 20 million. 30 million. Comments flooded in. Thousands per second. "Throw away the key. She poured wine on a child. Disgusting racist." Bradford sat hard on a bench, head in hands. Simone and her twins were in a private airline lounge. Quiet. Safe. A doctor examined Amara, checked her eyes, documented the wine stains, took photos. Another doctor looked at Elijah's arm. Bruises dark purple, finger-shaped. "These will heal in 2 weeks. I'm documenting everything." Jessica brought fresh clothes, cookies the twins didn't touch, juice boxes unopened. Amara was still crying, softer now, but shaking. Simone's phone rang. Airline CEO. Speaker on. "Dr. Taylor, I'm profoundly sorry. This should never have happened." Legal team on the line, too. "Full refund, lifetime platinum status, compensation of $100,000. Simone's voice was flat. "I don't want your money. Donate it to NAACP Legal Defense Fund and Black Pilots of America." "Yes, ma'am. Immediately." Mandatory anti-bias training for every employee. Flight attendants, pilots, ground crew, everyone. We'll implement it. Zero tolerance policy for discrimination, real consequences. You have my word." She hung up. Within 2 hours, the airline issued a public statement. "We are horrified by events on Flight 847. Victoria Ashford and Margaret Henderson are permanently banned. We are implementing immediate policy changes. Robert and Jessica publicly commended. Captain Hayes called Simone personally. Dr. Taylor, I'd be honored to fly you to Los Angeles tomorrow. First class, private. Simone looked at her sleeping twins. Thank you, Captain. We accept. By evening, federal charges were filed. U.S. Attorney's statement released. Victoria Ashford faces multiple federal charges. Assault on aircraft carries 20 years. Interference with crew adds 20. Child endangerment adds 10. Combined maximum 50 years. The statement continued. Mandatory minimums apply. No plea deals offered. The FAA issued its own release. Victoria Ashford placed on federal no-fly list, permanent, banned from all commercial aircraft. The TSA added her to the national database. Bradford's phone kept ringing. Business partners distanced themselves. We can't be associated with this, Bradford. 3 major contracts were canceled. By midnight, he filed for divorce. Emergency petition. He needed separation before Victoria destroyed everything. The videos kept spreading. 50 million views, 70 million, 100 million. News coverage everywhere. Local stations, CNN, MSNBC, Fox. Socialite arrested for assaulting black children. FAA director grounds plane after racist attack. White woman pours wine on 8-year-old. Social media exploded. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Reddit. Everyone was talking about Flight 847. Everyone was talking about Victoria Ashford. And everyone knew exactly what she'd done. Victoria sat in a holding cell. White jumpsuit. No jewelry. No phone. The reality was starting to sink in. She'd attacked the wrong family. She'd assaulted the wrong children. She'd underestimated the wrong mother. And now 80 people missed their flights. Millions of people saw her face. Federal charges were filed. Her husband was filing for divorce. Her name was ruined. Her freedom was ending. All because she poured wine on a child. All because she couldn't see past skin color. All because she believed she was untouchable. She was wrong. 2 weeks after the incident, the FBI Civil Rights Division took over. Agent Rodriguez sat in Simone's office. Files spread across the desk. We interviewed all 80 passengers. 78 corroborate assault. 3 cabin cameras captured everything. But the investigation went deeper. Pattern of behavior. That's what they found. A restaurant manager from Buckhead came forward. Victoria ate here monthly. She made black servers prove they'd washed hands, every time. Hotel workers spoke up. Housekeeper named Maria. She demanded black housekeepers be removed from her floor. Management complied. Country club members provided statements. She tried banning black guests, called it maintaining standards. Former nanny Sophia testified, I taught their nephew Spanish phrases. Victoria fired me the next day, said I was polluting his mind. The FBI subpoenaed Victoria's phone, text messages going back 5 years. To Margaret, can't believe they let those N-words in first class. To a friend, the plane smelled like a ghetto after they boarded. To Bradford, why donate to charity if those people still get uppity? 3 other black families filed complaints. Similar incidents on previous flights. Mrs. Johnson testified. She told flight attendants I stole my wedding ring, made them check their ID 3 times. My husband is a surgeon, but she saw my skin and assumed the theft. 8 years documented. Dozens of incidents. Week 3 brought national media coverage. CNN special. Racism at 30,000 feet. They interviewed Simone. One statement. This isn't about me. It's about thousands of black families who face this without cameras. My children will heal, but how many are traumatized in silence? The clip went viral. 10 million views in 24 hours. MSNBC covered legal angles. Former prosecutors explained hate crime enhancements. The View dedicated a full episode. Whoopi spoke directly to the camera. You don't pour wine on an 8-year-old. You don't grab a child. She did it because they were black. That's racism. Trevor Noah's Daily Show segment reached 50 million views. She poured wine on a black child whose mom was an FAA director. That's advanced racism. International coverage followed. BBC, Al Jazeera, CBC. Victoria became a global symbol of entitled racism. First-class racism reached 500 million impressions worldwide. Week 4 brought congressional hearings, House Transportation Committee. Discrimination in commercial aviation. The hearing room was packed. C-SPAN broadcasts live. Simone testified first. Calm, professional. Black passengers are 3 times more likely to be removed from flights for the same behaviors. She presented statistics, charts, 5 years of data. We need a federal passenger bill of rights, independent reporting, mandatory training with accountability. Then Amara testified. She insisted, said she wanted to help other kids. Small chair. The microphone adjusted down, voice quiet but clear. I was scared. The wine stung my eyes, but I was scared because a grown-up hated me for no reason. She paused. My mom says wrong behavior defines them, not us. I want other kids to know they belong anywhere, even first class. Silence. Then standing ovation. The committee voted unanimously. New legislation. The Taylor Act, Passenger Civil Rights Protection Act. Provisions included independent reporting, mandatory training, federal tracking database, whistleblower protections, and airline penalties. The president signed it 6 weeks later. 6 months later, a criminal trial began. Federal Courthouse, Atlanta. Media circus. Hundreds of reporters. Victoria pleaded not guilty. Claimed misunderstanding and mental health crisis. Defense argued stress. Accidental spill. No racial motivation. Prosecution destroyed every argument. Security footage showed deliberate wine pour, slow, calculated. Text messages showed undeniable racist language. 47 witnesses testified. Flight crew, passengers, restaurant staff, child psychologist Dr. Martinez testified. Amara has nightmares, panic attacks on planes. She flinches when adults raise voices. The trauma is significant. FBI experts testified about patterns of racial targeting. Bradford testified for prosecution. My wife made racist comments regularly. I should have said something. I didn't. Margaret testified after the plea deal. Victoria said she'd put those people in their place. She planned it. Victoria took the stand. Against lawyers' advice. Defensive, entitled, unrepentant. I was protecting first-class standards. Those children didn't look like they belonged. The prosecutor asked about the wine. It was just wine. The girl is fine, isn't she? Gasps in courtroom. Just wine on an 8-year-old because of her race? She's fine. Jury members shook heads. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Verdict: guilty on all counts. Victoria collapsed, screamed about reverse racism. The judge ordered her removed. 2 weeks later, sentencing hearing. Judge Patricia Monroe presided. Black woman, 60, 30 years on bench. Victim impact statements read. Simone read Amara's letter. I used to love flying. Now I have nightmares about wine. Elijah's statement. My arm hurt for weeks, but my heart hurts longer. Other families shared their trauma. Defense pleaded leniency. First-time offender, charitable donations. Prosecution recommended maximum sentence. Judge Monroe spoke. Every word is measured. Mrs. Ashford, you weaponized privilege against innocent children. You assaulted an 8-year-old because of skin color. You showed no remorse even after conviction. Sentence: 18 months federal prison, 3 years probation, 500 hours of community service teaching aviation to minority youth. $50,000 fine to NAACP. Lifetime flight ban. Mandatory rehabilitation. Victoria led out in handcuffs, still claiming victimhood. Margaret received 6 months prison, 2 years probation, $10,000 fine. A civil lawsuit followed. The Taylor family sued for $10 million. The Ashford family settled immediately, $2.5 million. Simone's announcement was brief. Every penny goes to Black Pilots of America Scholarship Fund. The fund was named Taylor Twins Flight Forward Scholarship. 10 students annually, full ride for aviation careers. Bradford lost 60% of contracts, sold 3 companies, resigned from all boards, divorce finalized. He issued a public apology, too late for reputation. The country club lost 40% membership, faced a separate lawsuit from the NAACP. Victoria's enabling friends faced social exile. Airlines implemented changes. FAA statistics showed results within 6 months. Discrimination reports UP 300%. Because awareness increased. Reporting increased. But actual incidents down 45%. Training worked. Enforcement worked. 12 major airlines adopted zero-tolerance policies. 50,000 airline staff completed bias training. Victoria's case became standard training material. Every flight attendant watched the footage, learned what not to tolerate. Robert was promoted to Chief Diversity Officer. Jessica became a national trainer for discrimination response. The system was changing. Slowly, but changing. Justice was served. But Simone knew the work wasn't finished. One conviction didn't end racism. It never did. 6 months after sentencing, spring sunshine filled the National Aviation Museum in Washington, D.C. 200 young students gathered, majority black and brown, ages 8 to 18. Their faces glowed with excitement. Simone stood at the podium, Amara and Elijah beside her in miniature pilot uniforms, navy blue with gold wings pinned to their chests. The banner behind them read, Taylor Twins Flight Forward Scholarship Launch. Simone's voice carried across the room, warm, strong. 6 months ago, my children learned a painful lesson at 30,000 feet. Today, they're teaching a powerful one at ground level. Dreams don't discriminate. Racism does. And we're here to destroy that barrier. Applause filled the space. She continued. This scholarship provides full rides for 10 students annually, pilot training, aerospace engineering, air traffic control, whatever aviation career you dream of. Amara stepped to the microphone. No fear now. Confident. That lady tried to make us small, but Mom showed us we're already big enough to change the world. More applause. Some parents wiped tears. Elijah spoke next. Ms. Bessie Coleman didn't let racism stop her from flying. Neither will we. Neither should you. The first scholarship recipients were announced. 10 students. 10 futures unlocked. They toured the museum afterward, Amara and Elijah pointing out exhibits. Black aviation pioneers, Tuskegee Airmen, Bessie Coleman, modern astronauts. One girl, 12 years old, stopped at a fighter jet display. I want to fly that someday. Amara smiled. You will. Meanwhile, federal women's prison in North Carolina held a different reality. Victoria sat in a classroom. Prison uniform, no jewelry, no makeup, hair pulled back plain. She taught GED classes, court-mandated community service equivalent. 20 inmates watched her. Most were black and Latina. One woman raised her hand, direct, unafraid. You're that wine lady, from the plane. Victoria's face flushed. Yes. Why'd you do it? For real? Long silence. Victoria stared at her desk. Because I could. Because I thought I was better. Because no one ever stopped me before. The inmate nodded slowly. At least you're honest now. Later, Victoria sat at a tiny desk in her cell. Writing. The letter would never be mailed. She knew that, but she wrote anyway. Dr. Taylor, I know you'll never read this. Prison gives you time. Time I've used to see myself clearly. I was raised to believe my whiteness made me superior. I never questioned it, until I met you and your children. You held up a mirror. What I saw was ugly. I can't undo the trauma. I can't take back 40 years. I don't ask forgiveness. I just want you to know if my shame prevents one person from repeating my mistakes, maybe my evil will serve some good. She signed it, filed it away with dozens of others, all unsent. Simone's FAA office looked different now. New photos on the wall, her twins at the scholarship launch, the president signing the Taylor Act, Amara and Elijah in their pilot uniforms. An email arrived. Subject, Victoria Ashford parole hearing, denied. Reason, behavioral issues, lack of genuine remorse. Simone closed the laptop, felt nothing. Her assistant knocked. Dr. Taylor, Victoria Ashford sent another letter. File it with the others. Unread. Yes, ma'am. Simone turned to the camera, breaking the fourth wall, speaking directly. My children asked why that woman hated them. I told them she didn't hate them. She hated what they represented. Progress, excellence. The end of a world where she could feel superior without earning it. She stood, walked to the window, planes taking off in the distance. I didn't defeat racism that day. Racism is still here. On planes, in schools, in boardrooms. What I did was refuse to let it have the last word. She turned back. Victoria is serving time. But millions of Victorias walk free. People who clutch purses when black men approach, who ask where you're really from, who demand managers when black professionals assert authority. Her voice strengthened. I had power that day. Most black parents don't. They can't ground planes or call press conferences. They suffer in silence, comfort crying children in bathrooms, teach their kids to be twice as good just to be seen as equal. She paused. Let it sink in. So this story isn't about me. It's about every black family who deserves to exist without justifying their existence. Final message, direct to camera. Whether you're a CEO or cashier, doctor or dishwasher, your dignity is non-negotiable. Stand up, speak the truth, document everything. The arc of the moral universe doesn't bend on its own. We bend it, together. The screen showed split images. Left side, Amara and Elijah boarding a plane, heads high, smiling, confident. Right side, Victoria in her prison cell, looking at her reflection in a small metal mirror, haunted. Both images faded to black. White text appeared on black screen. Based on real patterns of discrimination, names and details changed. But racism, that's real. The choice to stop it, that's yours. Stand up. Speak up. The sky's the limit for everyone. Now the call to action begins. If you believe every child deserves respect regardless of skin color, hit that share button right now. Send this to someone who needs to see it. If you've witnessed discrimination and stayed silent, drop a comment below. Tell us what you'll do differently next time. Let's learn together. If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it made you angry at injustice, smash that like button. Show the algorithm that these stories matter. And if you want more stories about justice, about standing up to racism, about everyday heroes who refuse to back down, subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when we post. Here's what I really want to know from you. Would Victoria have stopped if there were no cameras? No authority figure watching? No consequences waiting? Do you honestly think she's changed in that prison cell? Or is she just sorry she got caught? But most importantly, and be honest with yourself here, If you saw this exact scene tomorrow on your flight, a white passenger pouring wine on a black child, would you be passenger number 81 who speaks up? Or would you look down at your phone? Mind your business. Tell yourself it's not your problem, that someone else will handle it? Answer honestly in the comments, because that answer, your answer, decides what world our children inherit. Victoria had 80 witnesses on that plane. Only 12 spoke up immediately to defend those children. 68 people stayed silent. Which number will you be? Drop your answer in the comments. Share this video. Subscribe for more stories of justice. And remember, Amara's voice echoed through that museum. Mom, when I grow up, I want to fly planes so every kid knows they belong in the sky. The sky's the limit, but only if we lift each other up, only if we speak up, only if we refuse to be silent witnesses. The choice is yours.